Who ready? Who ready? Who? Husky one! Husky one!
Welcome to the first edition of the Huskies Pulse podcast. I'm your host, Clarence Nelson, and today we are here in the den with Huskies veteran quarterback coach Chris Durham and quarterback number 7, Jackson Harnett. Welcome, fellas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clarence.
Yeah. Today we just want to have a little conversation about some of the things that highlight the Huskies program, and you're the first one, so thank you for being here.
Sweet.
Chris, let me ask you this question, if I could start with you, Chris.
Sure.
How did you become involved with football?
Oh boy, how long is this podcast? Football's really been around. Like I think a lot of people have been in football in their 50s most of their lives. I played ball at Strathcona High School and then moved on. Was fortunate enough to move on and to make the Huskies back in '82.
Wow!
So I played 5 years with the Huskies, 2.5 as a quarterback and 2.5 as a slot back. You soon find out that where you belong, and that was a nice fit for me. So doing that, I've played flag and touch for years and years and years, and have the war wounds from that as well too. Then joined the Huskies board of directors as well too. As I was externally working in my career, I decided to come back and to give back in that capacity. Did that for a little bit, and then got into coaching and did a little bit at McNally, and then over at Scona for about 12 years, sort of finishing up this year doing double duty. Third year with the Huskies coaching, and I'm also involved with the alumni. So yeah,
Terrific.
I've got the 4-letter jacket.
That's awesome. Hey, as an athlete myself, and I've been coaching for a little while too. How did you find that transition from, a coach and perhaps a parent of athletes, but going to becoming a coach and sort of ending your career as an athlete? How did that transition happen?
Well, I think I'd like to think of myself, I've always been a mentor when I played. I think Jackson can probably attest to this, is that when you are in a leadership role, you do tend to mentor and a lot of times even coach first year and second year players, right? You give back, and you give back every day. So for me, it was a natural thing. I teach as well too. So I teach over at Nate. So that's in my blood. And I found that, high school is one thing. It's not developmental, but we still have some raw players. Believe it or not, there are high school players who come out for football teams who have not only never played football, but have never watched football. The world has changed in that capacity. So it's great, in some ways, it's a very blank canvas. Now, when you get to this level, that's not the case. We don't have too many guys off the street who say, "Oh, I want to pick up football." I mean, unless, he's 6'8" and, can slap at the moon with his paws as a defensive lineman. So, we have players here that, have been schooled a lot more than I did when I was a player in terms of camps and high-level coaching when they get here. So, for me, it was a natural transition. I wanted to take that next level from high school to work with some Qs who were somewhat more refined. And then the hard part is coming in as a new coach, when the OC and the receiver coach and a number of other people have already here. So finding my way with a veteran group of quarterbacks in my first year was an interesting journey. I do believe in connection before correction. And that was my goal in my first year, really, was to make a connection with the quarterbacks, to know that they can trust me and that I am here for them.
Terrific. It's good to hear that a coach is able to establish that with their fellow players. And being the QB coach, we have our quarterback here as well, Jackson, number 3 with the Huskies.
Number 7 now.
Is it number 7?
Yeah.
Oh, terrific.
Being a vet, he gets to switch that jersey number to his number.
Important. Jackson, I'm going to ask you a couple questions. What eligibility year are you in now?
I'm in my 4th year, so I got one more year after this.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's the journey been so far?
I mean, I haven't been with the Huskies from the very beginning, right out of high school, but I mean, the 3-year adventure that I've had with these guys has been quite the ride.
What high school did you go to?
Went to Harry Ainley High School.
Here in Edmonton?
Yeah.
So you're an Edmonton boy?
Yeah.
Born and raised?
No, I was born in Kelowna. Just an hour outside of Kelowna, actually, Vernon, BC. And I lived there up until I was about 5 years old, and then moved to Edmonton.
And how did you discover football? Was it your first sport, or what happened then?
My dad was a big football guy. He played football when he was younger, and so I mean, I've been watching football games since I was younger, staring at right at the front of the TV.
So what age were you when you picked up the ball and started playing?
I think I put a bucket on right as I came to Edmonton, 6 or 7 years old. I was sitting there running as a quarterback.
Nice. So you played bantam or pee wee ball? Or?
Atom, Pee Wee, Bantam, midget, midget, high school, and now junior football.
So quite a pedigree. Why did you stick with that sport versus other ones?
I mean, I tried other sports kind of like in the off seasons of football to kind of get my toes in the water of things, but being a quarterback is just an absolute blast. The way it's mentally challenging, but also physically challenging. One big play and it's like golf. All you need is that one shot and you come right back to it, you know.
Terrific. So coming here and living in Edmonton for a while, do you know any of your teammates prior to coming to Huskies? Other people joined you in those ranks when they came over here?
Actually, surprisingly enough, I haven't really met I haven't met too many guys like from high schools or anything. But making friends here was quite an easy one, and I see former Titans coming in here and now. I mean, I don't know them because I'm a little bit older than them, but it's great to see mainly producing players.
It's good to hear that that transition to the Huskies and they've welcomed you with open arms. And you've been here 4 years now, right? So, yeah. Chris, I want to ask you a question about being that quarterback coach.
Mm-hmm.
What would you give for advice for those high school players that are thinking about playing at the next level, wanting to kick and scratch their way up to large teams? We have a large roster here.
Mm-hmm,
How many players do we have on the team now?
Oh gosh, whatever our max is in the league, 93. I mean, we've got 7 quarterbacks, which if coming into my first year told me that I'd have 7 quarterbacks, in year 3 coaching, I wouldn't have believed it. Back in the day when I played, it was, you had 3 maybe on the roster, and you had a guy who maybe played some high school quarterback who played another position if need be to dress. So, it's become, more of a developmental thing, it's about sacrifice. At this position as a quarterback, it's about coming in and learning. There's so many things to learn. It's not just getting out there, learning the plays, throwing the field. It's developing trust in yourself. Things move a lot faster than they do in high school, as they would be in the pros, taking it a step further with it. So there really is a learning process for it. So what to say to high school kids who want to continue their career with it is, what they don't realize then is that the experience of being in this environment outside of high school is yours and yours alone. It's something that you embrace. When you're in high school, you're in high school. You're there every day. You're playing it. You're an athlete. Oh, I'll be good at football. Maybe I'll play volleyball. Maybe I'll play soccer. But you make a decision at this point, when you're done high school, number one, what are you going to do? Are you going to go on for post-secondary? Are you looking for gainful employment? And do you have the time and the passion for this game? Because you have to, right? And you have to be here for the experience. I'll be honest with you. When I look back, Clarence, yes, I remember some touchdown passes and I remember things on the field. But the things that I remember most are the experiences being down under the bridge, certain moments with it, relationships that were forged in good times and in bad times. Those things are invaluable to carry you forward. And I think given the pillars of the Edmonton Huskies, which involve community, giving back, camaraderie, and that sort of thing, it's the full meal deal. And I think that if you go into it with that open mind, being prepared to sacrifice, being prepared in a lot of ways, personally and on the field, for your position, then I think that it's such a worthwhile experience if you really love the game.
Good to hear. And Jackson, would you agree with some of those points? What would you say to a person that's 6 years younger than you? What would you say to yourself back in those days of high school to prepare you for the challenges that coaches like Chris are giving you today?
I mean, to be real with you, I don't think there's much that you can truly prepare yourself. It's the experiences that you experience throughout showing up to practice, playing those sweat and tears with your boys out on the field. It really characterizes you as a person, especially playing football for so long. I notice a lot of my traits are very very focused on based on what I've learned out on the football field. You know, like as a quarterback, they always tell you that you need to be a leader for your offense, but it's truly as a leader, you might be telling someone what they're doing wrong on the football field. But in reality, when you're in that huddle and you see your O-line breathing and sweating their ass off, or sorry, can't be saying that.
You can say that in this
But-
modern day. Everyone has HBO.
when you're sweating your nuts off and they are just in dirt and tears, but they are working for you. It truly does something for you. And yeah.
Good.
Sorry, Clarence, I just want to add in there about the leadership thing. You know, we know quarterback is a leadership position. You know, you're finding fewer and fewer players who want to play quarterback, which is interesting because back in the day, you know, it seemed everybody, you know, there'd be 50 kids lining up to play quarterback or receiver. And you don't see that as much now. And I think the reason is because leadership comes with accountability. There's a lot of weight on you as a leader. And I think it's easier to say, I don't want to take that mantle. I'm not prepared for that. There's enough pressures, there's enough anxiety, there's enough things going on in our world. So it takes a special character to say, I will be a leader of men, I will be a leader of women, whatever the case, whatever sport that you are playing with it. And I look at all the quarterbacks in our stable here, and I think all of them have, you know, some fundamental leadership qualities. And I have no doubt that when they're finished football, they're going to be successful and leading the charge in other realms going forward.
Yeah. Having said that, Jackson, you heard Chris say that he wasn't always a quarterback and he played a few other positions.
One,
perhaps.
inside receiver.
There you go. Did you go through a couple of positions before you found quarterback to be a home?
I think I played running back for half a season, and then me and my dad were throwing a football right before practice because my dad was a quarterback. So yeah, every time I've thrown a football with him, it's just been fundamentally teaching me how to be a better quarterback. And even though I was a running back, I was just tossing the ball on the side, and coach was like, "Hey, you actually you got a pretty nice throw." And he kind of looked at my dad and he was like, you play quarterback or something? And my dad kind of gave him the rundown, and he's like, so you could like teach him at like a pretty decent level? And at the time, being a 6-year-old, my dad was like, absolutely, I can teach him the basics. And so yeah, I ended up switching halfway through my first year and stayed on track with the quarterback ever since.
I'll leave this question open because what you mentioned spurs on this question. You know, there's a lot of sports out there competing for athletes, and football in some cases has received some criticism here and there, both, you know, in the movie theaters and other ways. What would you say when it comes to the quality of the sport that what it offers that no other sport does?
Josh, you want to start with this
That's
one?
a
Or?
good one. I think you got it. You go.
Okay.
You go first.
Well, having played a lot of sports, you know, whether it was league basketball, I've been involved in basketball for years. Soccer, that was actually my first sport. You know, still have a lot of friends from that and playing at really, you know, sort of a top provincial level. Not trying to blow my own horn here. I'm just saying I've been around in a lot of sports. My best friend and closest friends from growing up were from football. And I don't think that's by chance. I think there is something, yeah, you know, we use a lot of the war analogies, you know, in football. A lot of them do hold true, you know, and ultimately, when I look at my friends now and ex-teammates who are close, I mean, there's no one who I'd rather be in a foxhole with or be in a huddle with. And I think that that's what football does. I mean, is that it does get down and dirty. It can be dangerous. We look at the injuries with it. Football, someone once said, is a game that you give everything to, and you really do. And it does not always give back. And what I mean by that is that you can go every day and work and learn. And you know what? One injury can take you out. Another player can come along who signs with a team who is better. It does not always give back. So there has to be just an intrinsic passion, and I think a teamwork bonding thing that goes on when you put people in that environment. So to me, that's what football does more than any other sport. And I think that's what, you know, people are drawn to. people are fascinated about this sport. Is I'm going to say it. It is. It is a sport of warriors. I mean, I still believe that. Yes, rules have changed. It's not as vicious as it once was, and that's good and that's great. Concussions are a reality. But hey, soccer, I think, if you look per capita, has more concussions than football. Now, the soccer community might go whoa on that. My daughter's played a high level of soccer. I have too. I've seen more guys with concussions in soccer. But nonetheless, I think given all those things with that, I just think that it creates that that environment that is that it just draws you to, and it's tough to stay away from.
Jackson, would you agree that football is one of those sports that everybody has an opportunity to participate in, but football is not for everybody?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, football is like a second job, to be real with you. I mean, we're here every day from 5 till 10:30 at night. The same group of guys, same faces every day that you see. But at the end of the day, you guys might be a team, but, one quarterback plays a game. That's it.
Right.
We might have 7, but only one guy gets to step in. There's only one running back on the field at a time, So it's like, they're my best friends, they're my family, but at the same time, they're also like your biggest enemy, because you never know if you're going to take a snap or if they're going to be the ones taking a snap. So I think football definitely grants a great opportunity for everyone, like especially if you get into it at a young age. I mean, like, I know it's kind of hard to convince the parents, but if you can get into it at a young age, it changes your mindset, and just to be such a great like leader and a great friend. And I mean, going to war and getting those scratches with your buddies, it really changes you as a person.
On that point, I think it flies in the face of a world of self-gratification that we have now, immediate gratification, that we are looking, if something is not there right away, that that reward, it's not easy, then it's tough, then you walk away from it. Football challenges you to the complete opposite end of things. We've got some real young kids that are first years who are specifically working as on the defensive side of the ball as quarterbacks. Now, what that means is they're running scout, they're doing film on opponents and the tendencies of other quarterbacks. And that's what they're doing. So they're not even taking offensive reps. So we talk about dedication. You're trying to be seen. You're trying to climb up the ladder on a depth chart, but you really don't even get that opportunity early on. It's saying, here, you're going to be down here in the mailroom, and you're going to be down here for as long as we need you in the mailroom. And if you show that commitment and you show some growth, then you will move your way up to it. I mean, I don't know what sums it up better than that in terms of what makes football unique for that. We have guys who maybe never put on a uniform and never see the field. And I know that you think, well, then why would I want my kid doing that? Because there's so much more to be gained from this experience. Yes, everybody wants to see the field, and hopefully everybody will see the field at some point. But it doesn't always happen, So there's a bigger picture here. And life is not going to give you immediate gratification down the line. So this is a great, launching pad for that, for these young men.
I like those words. As a longtime football player and fan and coach, and myself, and my children have been involved in this sport, I couldn't agree more with what you said. Let's talk about something other than football a little bit. Outside of football, there's got to be something that you guys like to do. What do you like to do outside of football?
I mean, every year, kind of trying to take it away from football, but it's still football. I mean, us as quarterbacks, we all get together and we have a yearly annual golf competition. So, I think quite a few of us like to hit the tee boxes and tee times during the off season. But I mean, even then, during the off season, it's just football. I mean, unless you got like another sport or you're in school or you're working full time, you're training for football. You're getting ready for the season, because if you come in thinking that you could just walk in without being conditioned or without being trained, you're just going to get hurt. You're gonna regret it instantly.
Yeah, and our first day of practice, I was asking some of the other coaches. Well, we saw them in May camp, but hey, how was your summer? Both of them said the same thing: over. and that really is true. But I would say the golf thing. We do the quarterback and kicker golf tournament to kick things off. I know I like to golf as well too. I like to travel, but obviously, the fall is kind of a no-go time for that. So, that's the one thing with football is that you, as a priority, anybody who's involved with it will write those games down, practices, scouting on the calendar, and then try to work your life around it. And God bless all the partners and wives and significant others that are out there, and the kids, no less too. We've got coaches, heck, we've got even a couple players. I think we've got some kids, and so they really, it's about balancing your time and also making sure that you get some good rest and some good sleep with it as well too. It's not a sport where you're going to play forever. For many of these guys, they're going to be done when they're finished junior. Some will go on to university. Some go on to the pros. We've had several who've gone directly from junior or even this year over at Elks Camp. But even then, as we all know in pro sports, football is probably one of the shortest. It's not like baseball that you can be, 48 because you throw a mean splitter or whatever the case may be. We're looking at, a career that really does come to an end or putting the pads away, usually before your late 20s.
Mm-hmm. Well, and being a busy athlete and coach during the season and off season, you got to do other things too that fulfill some needs. So if I was a new person coming to Edmonton, where would you recommend, for example, what's your favorite food, favorite restaurant? Where would you direct me in Edmonton if I want something good to eat?
Good to eat. Food is my thing, absolutely. I found this nice little place. It was actually a taco shop or taco truck, sorry, but they moved into a place right on 158th Street there. It's called El Mero Mero. Best tacos in Edmonton you'll ever get.
Heard of it.
If you want some great pasta, you can go to Chianti's on White Ave. Chianti's has great pasta. On Tuesday, they have a pasta deal. It's 50% off. You can never go wrong with that. They got chicken and waffles just down the road.
This podcast is sponsored by
Sounds like you want to take your favorite coach to the restaurant.
Hey, we got lots of places. If you want to hit the Pint on White, Pint is lovely, sponsored by the Huskies.
Yeah.
So,
anybody listening, from outside of Edmonton thinking, I want to play football for the Huskies or give it a try. We have more restaurants per capita in our city, I think, than anywhere in Canada. And they just keep opening and growing. I just was at a great barbecue restaurant. It's actually in Spruce Grove, so just west of Edmonton, called Barbacoa, and it was fantastic. So, yeah, there's it's funny because you'll get together as coaches or players or sometimes both, and it'll be, we're going to this place. We're going there, and our GM is a foodie, so he's always saying there's a great place. Half our coaches are foodies. We're not talking about football. We're talking about food. We have a veritable chef on with Randy Spencer, former Eskimo defensive lineman. He brought in on Monday for the poor players. They're sitting there coming, what's that smell? And we're having meetings. And he made overnight. After you get this, he comes back. We come back from Saskatoon. And he's already got his daughter getting the brisket in. So he had brought in this 16-pound brisket, brought in his famous velvety macaroni and cheese, and then a coleslaw that was like a cilantro jalapeno coleslaw.
Excuse you.
Sorry, you didn't know about that?
I didn't know about that.
So we're all sitting there. I'm looking at my watch in the meetings going, okay, this is great. But when the food is there, and we have a lot of guys who like food, and when the offensive line and defensive line coaches get in there first, they are grazing, right? So, yeah.
A little offended over here.
Hey, I bring you gum on Wednesdays.
You better bring me some damn brisket.
By the way, on Wednesdays is our gum slinger night. So we have our throw of the night. That's tonight. Oh. And then we always keep a pocket of gum so that the quarterbacks can chew some gum and hopefully snipe one down the field that we vote on at the end of the night. So it's all meant to keep things light. It can be certainly every day with practice. It can be a grind, and so something that we can create a little fun with it as well, but still focused on the task at hand.
You better still have that roll of Hubba Bubba.
I've got 2 packages in my pocket as we speak. 7.
You folks mentioned training off season as well, or even during the regular season. I'm going to ask this question of Jackson. What is your favorite gym exercise that makes you a better athlete? What do you like doing in the gym?
Oh, man. Honestly, it kind of comes out of a shock because I didn't think I'd ever fully utilize it the way I thought I would, but Marcus Henry, our OC, got us doing all sorts of box squats and box jumps and just using a box. And at first I thought kind of workout is just doing a full workout with a box. But you know, once you start box squatting and then you turn into box jumps, and like your legs just get so much more explosive. And I've noticed like during the off season, especially, like the more you train your legs, the faster you get, the quicker you move, the harder you step. It's a big part of the football game, and it really improves you as a football player.
It also really improves. I know my daughter did a lot of that when she was playing Pandas soccer. It really improves your knee strength. You know, we say oftentimes with knee injuries, you know, it was unavoidable, and that can be the case. But you can actually work on your knee strength through doing those box jumps as well too.
Yeah, we were learning about that this year. It was knees over toes exercises. You know, strengthening like the ligaments along with also while you're strengthening the muscles. Great help for football.
Good. Before I talk to you about what you do before a game, I want to ask Chris, what do you do to help players like Jackson prepare for games? Do you do anything special on the game day?
Let's see here. What do I do? Pep talks. Everyone's different with pep talks. You know, I think Jackson and I have developed we both know each other's sense of humor a little bit. So sometimes we can be a little goofy, and I find that he's in his own world when he's beforehand. He has certain you know, traditions, I guess, what's the other word for it? Little rituals that he does, and I try to give him his space. You know, so my job is to, you know, really come up and say, and get him into a good mental headspace. Everyone's different. When I first quarterback that was here, didn't really speak to him much at all before a game. He was very much, even told me, Coach, I don't want to talk to anybody until I take the field. Then during the game, I would. So I'd feel that obviously if I had things to tell him, I would tell him. Last year, Carson Neitz, you know, our MVP, was someone I was very talkative with. Carson liked to do a lot. We'd sit on the bench and we'd laugh and we'd talk. I think Jackson got a very similar relationship with that. You know, you don't want to throw anything at him that is going to throw them off. You know, it's different if he's sitting there and his eyes are darting back and forth and you can see the anxiety and that kind of thing. Then I'm going to try and get him to slow his mind down a little bit. We're going to talk through it. If he's upbeat, then you ask yourself, is he too casual? Is he not taking the opponent seriously enough? Or is he just getting into a space of comfort? And that's very important for a quarterback. It's not just about laser focus. It's about sometimes seeing the field, getting this to slow down means you have to slow down your mind as well too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's different for every player. Certainly in the quarterback position, I would think probably with kickers as well too. There's a lot of mental aspects to that. Mm-hmm. So you take it as it comes. You know, we had an injury this past week with him going out, and I know how much he has put into his game, into his commitment to get where he is. He has paid a price. He has sacrificed, and for him to go down, I have to control my emotions too, because there's a part of me that, you know, it feels like, oh my God, I can't do that. You're gonna be okay. Go see the trainer. Stay positive. Let's not be catastrophic at this point. Let's work on this. I'm trying to keep that together, but in my heart is going, oh my God, poor kid. You know, so, you know, I think that, again, I think it goes to the relationships, not just between players, sometimes players and coaches, and trust and that sort of thing. So I trust him to prepare, and I'm there to guide him when and if necessary.
Pretty simple for you, Jackson. Thank you, Chris, for mentioning that. What do you do like for before a game, and more specifically, do you have any little rituals, or what's on your playlist that you're putting in your ears?
I mean, it's actually kind of funny you asked this. I just did an interview with the CJFL last week, and they asked the exact same thing, but I got to give a shout out to my OC Marcus Henry, because he got me on the Wendy's game. You get a spicy chicken sandwich with a strawberry lemonade, and it's great. But I mean, come like pregame, like Coach said, I try and be the fun guy out there, you know, like it really clears up my head. And my dad's always kind of gotten after me, and coaches have gotten after me in the past to, like, you know, focus up, like stop dancing to the music and, like, you know, be serious and be ready for it. But as like the leader of the game, you know, like once I get in there, I know I'm going to be focused and I'm going to be in there. But if you're overthinking it as a player, or you're in your own head and stuff, and you look over and you see your starting quarterback having a little groove or laughing his ass off, I feel like that really can just help someone ease their mind without even like needing to go over there and truly help them. So I try and keep a great big smile on my face, have a little boogie to my step, and I'm still in my head, still ready to go, and it's not like I'm taking the team lightly. I'm trying to be that fun guy for everyone.
It sounds like we're going to have a good season this year. And, we're already week 1 and we're into week 2 now of the season. So I want to thank you two gentlemen for being in the den here with our first edition of the Huskies Pulse podcast. And good luck with the new season. And I look forward to seeing all the home and away games. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Clarence. Look forward to the future podcasts for the insiders look. So right now,
take care.
Thank you.